let's stay with the NBA, but we're going to talk about Team USA star Kevin Durant, of course, Brooklyn Nets star as well. And he was talking to Sports Illustrated this week, I presume. And he was asked about the Brooklyn Nets kind of being the NBA's version of the New World Order. And those of you who are wrestling fans might remember that was 1996 when Hulk Hogan joined forces with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall to form the New World Order. And they became...
Chris, what are you talking about? I mean, really? You remember this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Actually, I'm reading off Rob G's notes, but...
Oh, all right.
I stopped watching wrestling in 8th grade. I was into it from like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. That was back when there was the Junkyard Dog and Jimmy Superfly Snooker and all that stuff.
I remember the New World Order, but I was just like impressed.
I didn't remember it.
I was impressed that you were like breaking it down, so I was just like, does he really know this, or what am I missing?
Apparently Rob G was a big
Rob
New World
G,
Order
were you
fan.
that big of a wrestling fan? We need to know.
At that time, yeah. I mean, I was like 8 years old at that time, so that was big.
It's great when you think it's real.
Oh yeah, I mean,
When did you
saying?
find out it was real? Were you like, oh man?
You know,
Or it
I
was fake?
should have known early because my dad worked at the LA Sports Arena and they used to have wrestling events all the time. So we'd see the guys like backstage mingling, and I was like, oh, Undertaker can't go over there because they might pop off.
Right.
So little did we know they were all friends at the time, but I should have known then that things were off.
Well, anyway, of course, that was the hated trio in wrestling. And Brooklyn, turns out, according to a survey they did, they are the hated team in the NBA. And
Remember
with good
Charles
reason.
Barkley rooted against them, was like, I don't want them to win. You remember he went on the air and said it.
Absolutely. And I get, look, we obviously both picked the Nets, so we were hoping they win it, justify our picks. But
For our picks, right?
I
yes.
get why, come on. If anybody, including Durant, I think Durant even gets it. Because he talked about it like, we got three guys that a lot of people don't like. And he's right. They don't like KD because he went to the Warriors, 73-win team with a championship, and he's a social media pirate. All right, he's always on social media and has been proven to have a burner account, and I think he's still got some, but had a burner account. So all of that. Kyrie, of course, has made comments about why is Christmas a holiday, the earth is flat, so on and so forth. So a lot of people don't like him because of that. And then James Harden because of the way he left Houston. And so they are the villains, right? And I mean, the super teams just keep up in the ante, don't they? You had LeBron in the Heat, and then KD won up that by going to the Warriors. And this, as far as just sheer individual talent,
Right. For them,
they won up them all.
Once they got James Harden, like the two,
Right,
that just
right.
would have been the two. Chris, that was like, okay, you need two
That's
players.
not really even a super team, right?
No, that's not a super team. It's just two free agents, and with the other, and remember, with the other teammates, it was a really good team. But James Harden made it a super team.
Absolutely. So KD gets it, but I get here just ironically talking about why KD is disliked by many. Talking about him being a social media pirate. I guess he's on a Twitter binge right now. Rob G, explain what's going on.
Yeah, KD is trending as we speak. Now, you guys may not have seen this because I know that at your age, you got to take the pre-show naps. And so you can be ready to go for these 3 hours of audio glory.
That pre-show nap.
But about 20 minutes before our show started, KD jumped in something called Twitter Spaces. Now, what Spaces is like an audio version of Twitter where anyone can get in and listen. They select a few people who can talk, and KD was invited.
So KD would select the people?
No, somebody else did it. So what happened was KD was going back and forth with people on Twitter earlier today about his time in Golden State. And he was responding specifically to people who were suggesting that one of the reasons he left Golden State was because of the fans and the media, not giving him the kind of love that he thought he deserved. And he
Okay.
kept saying that's not true. Why would you believe Ethan Strauss? Like, that doesn't make any sense, blah, 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 blah. So a few Warriors podcast guys created a Spaces and invited him in. So KD jumped in there and immediately starts.
Only he would.
Yeah,
Only he would.
immediately
You know what I mean?
starts
Like,
tearing down Ethan Strauss, saying, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Why would you believe him? So then they ask him, well, why don't you clarify it? And he's like, well, why do I got to clarify anything? Why don't you just believe what I'm saying?
why-
Well,
You go in there.
why would he go on? Just right. Just right.
Just to give you an illustration, though, of as to what social media is, and this is peak Twitter at this point. At one point, one of the guys is telling Kevin Durant, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? And then he says to him,
The guy saying that to
yes,
KD?
to Kevin Durant. And then he says to him, like, explaining why Steph Curry is a better player than I think James Harden. And they're discussing the nuances of the game. So KD asks him to explain a double team. And this guy tries to lecture Kevin Durant on the intricacies of basketball. So that's where we're at now in social media. But it just goes to show exactly what we're talking about. Kevin Durant, not only was he tweeting up a storm, he actually jumped into a Twitter Spaces, and now he's trending because of his responses.
Rob, what do you make of KD? Like you said, he's the only guy that would do that. I mean, who knows who these might be 16-year-olds for all we know. Who that he's in there with. What do you make of all this?
I just don't understand. If I had $1 gazillion and I was a big-time basketball player, I'd do my press requirements and kind of leave it at that. But these guys have grown up in a different era where they're bothered by other people. You know what I mean? And what other people say bothers them, and they the idea that someone's against them, or like even the term haters, like the whole idea you're a hater if you disagree or you have a different opinion, or Chris, if you're not on board with somebody, then you're a hater. I mean, the whole idea of it is ridiculous. You don't have to be a hater. I don't have to hate you if I just don't think you're the best player in the world, or I don't think you're, the greatest shooter in the world. That doesn't make you a hater, because
Right.
it's all.
If you think Michael Jordan's better than LeBron, it doesn't
right.
make you a hater of
Doesn't
LeBron.
make me a hater of LeBron. I just think Michael is better. My point of view or my opinion, and that's all it is. But that's where we are, and these guys can't seem to get enough of it.
I've changed my tune on Kevin Durant on social media. And here's why. Like, is he sensitive? I mean, I guess that's what everybody
He's
says.
the Masoud. You know that, the most sensitive of all time.
But here's my thing. If he was that sensitive, then I think it would impact him. I mean, I think it would mess up his play. Rob, we both were sports writers in New York City. We saw guys who were great elsewhere
couldn't play
and
in New York.
couldn't play in New York.
Yep.
Because the back pages or whatever, the criticism, the
sports
pressure,
talk radio,
yes,
right,
they couldn't
all that.
handle it. That, to me, that's sensitive. Right? Because they get in your head.
I
and now
understand what you're
doubting
saying,
yourself.
like, because you can't
Right.
perform, right?
Right.
By it. But
Like,
I don't know.
I
don't
just
know if
think
you can,
KD, like, and he and I, we've gone back and forth DMs. He'll slide into my DMs every now and then. And
remember, you don't have
say
his phone
something.
number, so
I
you
know,
never
right.
text him, okay?
Right,
You never
right.
text him.
Yeah, and he's sliding to my DMs and start talking about something. And I asked him one day, I was like, yo, man, why are you up on social media, like, going at freaking 15-year-olds, like
Right.
random cats? And he was like, look, I got time, and I enjoy the back and forth. And like you said, Rob, he grew up in this. It's like
Right.
social media to them is like TV to me and you.
Right. It's just,
They
it's totally.
they can't even imagine not being in their world. And I gotta, like I said, to me, I'm starting to think, you know what? Kevin Durant is just that dude that if you say something to him, he's not gonna let it slide. He's not gonna laugh it off. He's going to confront you. And if it's a reporter in a press conference or if it's some random person on social media, he's generally going to confront you. And my thing is, as long as it doesn't impact his play negatively, if he can still go out there and be one of the best players in the world, You know what? I'm cool with it now. I mean, whatever. If that's what he wants to do, fine.
Right? No, I mean, he can do whatever he wants. I just find it odd. That's all. I'm with you. It's up there. I think he's odd. I just think that there's so many other things. I get it. He's got a company and he's doing all these other things, but it just seems to be like a waste of time to me. Like, you can't satisfy everybody, Chris. You could go on Twitter
Absolutely.
and respond to everybody and say, like me, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You'll never get everybody on board.
Never.
So what's the point of it? Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I totally. One of the things I tell myself, I mean, because we get criticism, Rob, obviously in our line of work too, and I say, look, you can never please everybody.
Right.
Jesus never sinned, and people hated him. You know what I'm saying?
I told you a million times. My mom said to me,
they killed him.
She said to me when I came home one day from school about somebody not liking me or something, and she just said, everybody didn't like Jesus Christ either, so you're in good company. And that's it. Once she said that, it was like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's not going to like you. Everybody's not going to like Chris, the way you go about it, no matter what. I don't care who you are.
That's why in our position, Rob, in our job, you just got to say what you're going to say.
Right.
You know, we don't go out of our way to, like, purposely tear anybody down.
No.
But we just try to call it like we see it.
But some of the
can't worry
biggest
about what's this player going to think. Because you can try to appease a player or a coach, and it still might not work.
And you know what?
So
they'll like it one time, Chris, and then the one time you're critical of them, they get bent out of shape.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you could write 10 great things or say 10 great things. And which one would you? He won't even hit. They won't hit you up on those.
Yep.
Only the
That's
one
right.
that they don't like.
That's exactly right.
So you're like, oh, you didn't hear what I said a week ago, or you didn't hear what I said the last 3 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
no, you're right. Look, Charles Barkley, Rob, would never have become the Hall of Fame broadcaster he is if he was worried about what everybody thought. It just wouldn't have happened.
And you got to remember, he lost his friendship with Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Like seriously, he's taken some hits, but what he does in the business is good and unique. And some of the best people in our industry and the highest paid are people who are highly hated. They just are.
Yeah, that's right. All you that want to get into this, you got to have thick skin. So